Welcome, everybody. I am super excited for today's conversation. I'm joined by Chris Rothenbery, co-founder of Beyond Blue Media. They are a full-service digital marketing agency built around radical transparency. And what really stood out to me about Chris is how deeply his team believes in using marketing to really and truly serve their clients. They build conversion optimized creative. They build full scale performance campaigns. They aren't just using tactics, they're really building partnerships. And those partnerships are rooted in honesty, alignment, and delivering real business outcomes. Chris, thank you for joining us today.
Excited for the conversation, Brian.
Let's dive in. I'm going to ask about Beyond Blue. How has the agency changed from the early days? How has your positioning evolved? What's a major shift that you had to deal with since the early days, and how has that affected what you're doing now?
Sure. It'll be our eighth birthday this fall, which is wild to reflect upon. And, this might just be the, COO mindset of me. But as I reflect on, I think the biggest pieces we made, a lot of it just comes down to systems and operations. We knew we wanted to serve the local area, partner with businesses, and actually make an impact on their business and bring in leads. But, we've come a long way in terms of actually practically how we do that. And like you said in the intro, really diving into the nitty gritty and constantly improving and evolving how we're building strategies and evolving with the layers of technology and as things change across social media or SEO or anything in between. So I think, especially in the past year, I have to give a lot of credit to our team. They are really data driven. They don't go with the status quo. They want to actually know if I execute on this, whether it's a blog or a social media post, it's going to make a difference or help achieve a goal we've set. And a lot of that just comes down to writing stuff down, showing how you're documenting a process, and then even having the rhythm to come back and revisit it and say, is this still the best way? Do I have the data to drive this? In the beginning, we had the right heartbeat and people wanted to work with, but a lot of it was just, it's a new business. You jump into a partnership, fly by the seat of pants, you have some expertise of how to rank them or run an ad. But I think we have a really good, clear system even now that's improved and evolved of like we have the data and we know we can get people there and we're going to actually visually lay out the process for you and show you how we get there, not just say, trust us, hang on for the ride and we'll show you the results.
No, I love that. And it looks like Beyond Blue is serving across a range of verticals. There's a heavy focus on e-com, home services, professional services. How have you scaled intentionally and stayed true to your ethos while serving a wide variety of clients?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think a lot of it comes back to this day and age. I really want to talk globally or across our nation. A lot of people are trying to put people into buckets and draw lines around. Well, we're against this, so come be with us, or against this. The space we've tried to lean into is we want to work with businesses who know what they're for. We want businesses who want to impact their local area, hire more people, help people put food on the table for their families, create a local impact, and know their mission and purpose. And so that's made it really easy for us across e-commerce, construction, landscaping, or anything in between. The best partners we have are people who, the end goal is not just grow revenue. There's a clear mission of I want to grow and bring on more team members, or I want to grow so I can fund a nonprofit, or some of those things where they're much more clear on what they're for and what they're about, and less about, well, we hate this, and so I want to work against it. We want to go against this messaging. A lot of it has come back to, like you said in the beginning, bringing this full circle. We can't provide great marketing for a product or service that doesn't work if it's just somebody trying to make a buck and move along with their day. The best partnerships we have are people who have a product or service that's actually genuinely making a difference. When we put good marketing into it, the more eyes and more interface they get, they're going to improve and get more business and explode from there. We had a previous creative director who always said the fastest way to kill a bad product or service is good marketing. We've found that to be true. To your question, it really just comes down to our sales team does a great job in that interview process, mutually both ways. Hey, let's just not make sure you want to work with us, but that we think we're going to be able to benefit you. And we have turned people away before because, if we just brought a bunch of good marketing, it might not be great for their local reputation. And I think it's challenged them to revisit their processes and ethos of, am I genuinely providing value and making a difference with this product or service across a wide range of things?
No, that's unbelievable. It was reminding me of Simon Sinek and knowing your why, right? It sounds like
Yeah.
you all have a very strong why of why you perform your marketing, and you're looking for clients who are also really clear on their why, right? Like, why does their business exist? Well, what's the point of getting to the next level? Finding those businesses aligned in that vision helps you deliver better services. Was there like a moment in time or a turning point where it became clear to you, like, all right, we want to find businesses that are really clear in their mission? Was that something that you had like a light bulb moment, or did that just kind of organically evolve over time?
I think it came more organically. Like I said, as you well know, you guys are a little further along and have more years under you, but you probably remember this from the early days of, you open the doors, you're pushing out marketing for yourself, and leads start coming in, and you're kind of in that phase of we're happy to have people come into the door, and we'll take it and maybe
Sure.
lower, quote unquote, lower the bar, and happy to serve them. But yeah, it does happen organically as you reflect, and whether it's a client relationship that leaves or it's a short-term project and afterwards everyone's just burned out, and you just do a little reflection and say, what didn't we like about that? What didn't they
Mm.
have in place? Why wasn't this a success? It took time, lessons, and blood, sweat, and tears to get to that point of just constantly coming back to when we have businesses who know what they're about, who know the people they're trying to serve at a really clear point and know why they're in the business. That definitely helps us because they have that conviction and their own ownership into it. We seek partnerships. You're not just hiring us so you can hand everything off and go do another layer of your business. We need active engagement and buy-in from you. The best campaigns are when they are a partner. Hopefully we're taking things off their plate, but we want active engagement. Like you said about Simon Sinek, I've read a number of his books over the years as a couple of people on our leadership team. We updated our mission statement to simplify it. We build businesses, empower employees, and impact generations. So to us, if we want to impact our local area and beyond, we want to work with people who are trying to build their business because they're trying to empower their employees or ours, through a mutual relationship for more opportunities, better lifestyles, whatever it may be. And then really the crux is the impact generations. And that comes back to we love working with businesses who have a long-term goal of, I want to build this and hand it off to my kids, or I want to build this so the next generation has this kind of product service to lean on, or I want to leave my local area better than I found it. I think those are the people who have that long-term vision of impacting not just their circumstances, but have forward thinking.
That's fantastic. You mentioned that your sales team is good at asking the right questions and engaging with prospects in a way that helps them uncover if they're going to be good clients for you or
Mhm.
not. Are you able to push that upstream beyond the sales process into your marketing? Is there a way to fill your pipeline with folks more aligned with who you're looking to work with? Is there anything you do from a marketing perspective that attracts the types of clients you're looking for, or do you filter them out more during the sales process?
Yeah, that's a great question. It definitely is probably a little bit of both, but that's interesting. If I were to reflect on another piece of our business in the past 2 years, that has been a more intentional shift. I think it has been more that strategic placement marketing. Something that's been beneficial for us has been targeted email leads. You might
Okay.
get a blast and a bunch of leads at once, but that's allowed us to build that ideal client profile and then go into not just, we wouldn't want to put ourselves in a general blast for business owners across America that has millions of people. We might get a lot more targeted and say, what about businesses that have completed a certain seminar or a partner who runs a certain training course where we know they're training on values that we align with? And those strategic partnerships where there's again a mutual trade and maybe we're helping them out and they're inviting us into their space, or even in a local area, we have some great leadership and business mentors who run their own groups that we know when people are invested in this and have gone through that process and are asking these harder questions to grow their business, they're more primed, like you said, to then, yeah, by the time they get to the salesperson, it's an easy conversation. We're speaking the same language. Something big for us, a free plug for EOS, Entrepreneurial Operating System or software. I'm always forgetting that S side. We're still new to it. So that's something we've been rolling out. Businesses that invest in that and ingrain it in their companies are also people who are like-minded and know that there's a clear vision and a path. That's in trial and error. But like you said, we're not for every business owner. So who is a population we are for and want to partner with?
Yeah, that's awesome. It's not the first time EOS has come up in my
There you go.
conversations. I have not been to an EOS seminar, but I have read Traction and
Yep,
started
it's a
to
classic
implement
one.
those pieces of powerful stuff. Are you a Traction consultant with your businesses, or you feel like if they're interested in Traction, they're at a point in their business where we can really help them with marketing?
That's an interesting question. We started implementing EOS late last year, coming into
Okay.
2025. We're newer to that phase. And so we've had the opportunity working with our particular implementer to refer him out to clients that we think are ready for those deeper conversations. 'Cause it's intense and a lot of
Yeah.
work to dive in and unearth all that in the business. We had the opportunity to share that piece. The other phase of your question as well, it's probably come from businesses who maybe have or haven't used EOS, but Maybe it's in a conversation or in a networking group have talked about someone they brought in to like, hey, I was having a problem. I could not figure out how to scale, how to pay my people well. I kept having recurring problems. And then I brought in so and so, and they illuminated these things for me. I think those are spark points. And so, yeah, I think we're still early into the journey to see how those pieces come together, but we're absolutely, I think we're, as you probably heard me say a few times, big on value relationships. Hey,
Yep.
we think this person would be a value to you and they're a value to us. Let's talk about how it can work out for both of us. We want to build businesses,
Yep.
elevate employees, and impact generations.
Holding those values, it's clear by reading your website and looking at the work that you do. You really do value honesty and alignment with your clients. Has that ever led to a tough moment with a client, friction that couldn't be gotten over? Were you able to turn that friction into trust? Or is it something you lead with, from the beginning and clients are just aware that, hey, that, they're going to come to me and say the hard things?
Yeah, that's some good questions that got me pondering. In our company's history, I have been more client facing, and then as we're scaling, I'm trying to step out of that and
Yep.
really be more of the day-to-day ownership side. So I definitely have had a variety of experiences. It's probably somewhere in the middle. Understandably, as you guys know and other agency owners know, it feels like an industry people get burned in a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I was hearing one side of the story, but it's just not a good partnership. They felt like they poured a bunch of money in, didn't get the results, and so they're maybe a little more cautious, but they know they need to do it. So there's definitely those people who I think you have to be strategic in walking that line and leading with a lot of transparency and trying to invite them into the process and explain why you're doing certain things and explaining how to help reach the end goal. And that one definitely does take time. We have people where it might take several months and they need to start seeing some results out of it. And they might be anxious in the first few months. It takes a lot of reassurance and transparency into the process and why we're making decisions. That, like you said, comes back to the marketing and sales funnel of setting good expectations. We had an internal leadership training last week where the presenter was just talking all about how setting good expectations really dictates the success of a relationship. And so I think that's a big one for the people who understandably have been burned and a little cautious, but know they need to jump in and nurturing that relationship differently versus the people we've definitely had the one step in who know what they're about, know what they need out of it, are going to hold us to a high standard. So we feel that mutual respect when we say, this is not a good idea, you should do this. They trust us right away. You guys are the experts, take it away. It really is a blend between the clients. That's the goal, whether it takes 3 months, 6 months, a year, can be patient, showing that increased for delivering results, being transparent and having integrity with the way we're operating. It'll come naturally. It's a question of when. And then all of a sudden they get a request from us or see an idea. They're like, yep, let's do it. It's worked in the past. We trust you guys. Let's run with it.
Whenever you start a business, running the business part's the hardest to learn. I knew the marketing, but running the business is the hardest to learn. And you guys are impressive because it seems like you really have put a lot of thought and intention into not just how are we going to run the business, but how are we going to run the business in a way that really aligns with our mission. Lots of companies write a mission statement, hang it on the wall, and never look at it again. It's clear you guys really do everything you can to live by your mission. I think that's an impressive accomplishment.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I think it's helpful to get a outsider perspective because we can often be our own worst critics and trying to make sure our team feels that and whether or not they have it memorized per se as well. It's probably tried to make it short and punchy, but I would say that's absolutely what tries to drive a lot of that intentionality. And yeah, I would use the word localism. We care about impacting our local area. Our vision would be if our company shut down or moved, there would be businesses and the mayor showing up saying, please don't leave. We need you here. That would be the ideal impact we've had. We've done service projects, impacted nonprofits, and built businesses so that the local area is thriving because of that partnership we're a part of.
Yeah. Yeah, I know that we were talking before we started to record that you've got a project to help out a school in the area. And it sounds like you guys do a lot of work that really does impact the community for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Love it. As you're doing that, I know we've touched on this a little bit, but I just wonder because I'm trying to help out somebody who might be a couple steps behind you. You're establishing great practices. Were there boundaries you had to put in place around pricing or communication? Have you put any boundaries between the client and your employees, just so that you can grow in a way that's healthy and scalable, and that also serves your clients, community, and business? Has anything come to mind?
Yeah, a few try to select some of the better ones. I would say, to give a practical example, in this phase, we're past the startup phase. We're getting to more of that young, mature company era. We're asking our team to lean into being confident experts. Talking about boundaries, a lot of that does even come back to, I think the website department has been one that's really immensely grown in the past year and a half in terms of dialing in our process for even how we scope sites. And then when we're the experts stepping in, if we're asking the client for all the ideas and saying, what do you want on the homepage? What do you want the design to be? What do you want this page to do? Versus we sit down, understand exactly what they want, and then say, this is going to work best for you. You should trust us. We'll execute. And obviously, you can still be a part of that process. I think that mindset has probably bled into a lot of other departments. It takes time to get there. And so if somebody's a few steps behind, I might just challenge and ask what that looks like. Am I a little too hands off? Am I asking too much of my client? If I were to step into that ownership seat more, guide them through the process and say, this will work best. Here's the track record we have to prove it. Will you trust us? That might come with time, but they can lean into that when there's a clear vision. I think it was Extreme Ownership by Jocko Willink. Like section impacted me about the why. Probably coming back to Simon Sinek, he was talking about in the military context, there might be hard decisions or things people didn't understand. And he often recognized that tension was a failure to explain the why. That probably has a good parallel to client relationships. Are we moving too fast? And we know in our heads while we're making decisions, that may seem a little controversial or different. But if we taken the time to slow down and explain it and say, you told us your goal was X, Y, and Z. We think we can get you here through this, which maybe you didn't anticipate. We want to write an article about this or cover a social media post or run an ad campaign in this vein. And here's the why. Even if people aren't necessarily bought in, they at least understand the vision and feel like they were heard, which is a big part of that process. And I think that's a broad question. I'm trying to pull on different threads of our history and where those boundaries have been set up. I think it comes back to ownership. If someone's not bought into the process and doesn't feel like there's clear expectations, that might just be a reflection on your system and process of not explaining the why and guiding them through that. And so just do a little self-reflection and ask, is there 10% I can make better to improve this relationship while also holding them accountable to the things we've asked for?
Yeah, no, I love that. I'll be honest. While you were explaining, I was like, oh man, you were listening to some of my recent conversations. You're calling me out because I am guilty of that, where I'm like, can't you just trust me? Just trust
Right,
me. I've been
totally.
doing this a long time. Let's just
Yeah,
go.
yep.
They're legitimate to say, no, I need to understand more. I need you to tell me why we're doing this. I've had moments where I get frustrated because I need to be a better communicator. And I think what you
Right.
just laid out, yeah, it's great for people who might be a step or two behind you. I think it's great for everybody to build a little self-reflection and see, like, what can I do to make
Right.
my performance better? So no, I think it's great
Well,
advice.
and even though I can articulate and understand these things I've learned, it's absolutely a process. I'm not doing this perfectly.
No,
I
no,
relate to
none of
that.
us
I
are.
relate to that deeply of like, man, sometimes you just get frustrated and you're convinced that the relationship's doomed. But if you just do a little work like, oh yeah, I didn't do a good job there. I need to go back and put myself in their shoes and understand where the barriers might be. And then, like you said, I think there still needs to be room for, I'm an expert, I'm mastered in this. I need you to trust me here, but let me explain why I'm doing it this way,
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Great way to put it. What do you see coming around the corner? Is there something on the horizon that you're really excited about, whether it be new capabilities, a new service offering, or a new industry you're going to work with?
Is it too trendy to talk about AI? I feel like everybody's talking about AI.
No, go for it. There's a lot of AI going on. I think it's worth talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll try and keep this brief because it's a pertinent conversation in our agency and every other one out there. It's just growing so quickly. And so you have to be having intentional conversations around what it's capable of, how you want to leverage it. And so obviously we hold these things flexibly. In this digital space, things change every day. So you have to be adaptable without compromising the values and mission you've set out. I think that's kind of where we've landed. As of right now, we have an intentionality to stay lean. We don't want a large team. We want one that's lean and having good rhythms and sustainable and aren't burnt out and feel challenged and thriving in the role they have and the businesses are working with. So I think we're, as always, with any new technology, that's the lens we're seeing AI through. So if we want to stay lean and we're not just going to scale to an arbitrary number, I'm asking my team to be aware of what's out there. You should constantly be looking at the new tools coming out in systems and then ask yourself, does this tool allow me to offload things I don't like doing or things that would have taken longer and give me more capacity to pursue a new client, train a new team member, or work into a new opportunity? I think that's our mindset right now. Most agencies would be on this page. We would never let someone go and replace it with a system. Instead, say, how can this system elevate what you're doing, change your capacity, and allow you to think creatively or open up a new avenue or a problem to solve? That's probably the top answer. Seeing what's out there, aware of these systems, you can plug in a command and it's building you a website. How are we entering that space? How are we still serving our clients? Do we need to be adaptable and understand whether we're unique to that or it's a tool we can leverage to better, like I said, scale up our team and allow them to continue to thrive while also still serving our clients well? And so it's just an intentional conversation ongoing where, again, like we also have those values of and plugging into our local area, servicing people. And so that would mean it's never going to be within our values to outsource a bunch of that and have a two-person local team. That's not what we've been about. We're leveraging it differently, not being stubborn and stuck in the past. It is something you have to be talking about and aware of.
From that explanation, it's clear you're evaluating AI in an alignment with your mission, right? You want to empower employees,
Right.
you want to make employees' lives better. I think having that slight tweak in how you look at it, a lot of people are looking at it as how can I streamline things? How can I get even leaner? But if you're looking at it as like, how can I give my employees tools that are going to make them better at their job? It
Right.
takes some of the fear away, right? Because there's definitely some fear around it, but being like, no, this is something that we're just going to make sure everybody can do their job even better. We're going to elevate the capacities of our agency. We're going to work with even, newer and I don't know, better is not the right word, but more robust clientele. It opens up a world of possibilities by looking at it a little bit differently. And again, I commend you on looking at it through the lens of your mission statement. I think that's awesome.
We're a small agency. We've always attracted people who are very growth minded and are like to challenge the process and learn new skills. And so I think that is an absolutely pertinent conversation in terms of these tools that are coming out of, hey, even if this tool maybe has the potential to replace an aspect of what you're doing, don't be scared by it. Ask yourself, okay, if it's replacing updating metadata on a page, great. What does that open me up to then pursue something else,
Right.
channel a new layer of expertise and better serve people because now this tool's doing it. And then that even still can allow me the potential down the road to make a strategic hire and elevate the life of somebody else instead of, historically maybe just not having that asset and resource. So it's definitely a balance. We want to stay lean and still also not just outsource something to a robot, but think through it strategically without hampering human capability, but also calling people higher and saying, let's see this as an opportunity and see where we can then grow and expand to continue impacting human lives, maybe just in a different way than what we would have done 5 years ago.
Yep, that's perfect. Chris, I really appreciate the conversation. This has been a lot of fun. Where can people find you online?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, easy place to start our domain. We are beyondbluemedia.com, the color
Yep.
BLUE. Always, as you'd imagine, being in the digital space, we're on most social platforms as well. And then myself and my business partner, he's probably much better at being active on LinkedIn. I'm more in the day-to-day of our company. Those are the major channels. We're also looking at different content streams. We've put out some episodes in the podcast space available on our website. We're in the digital space, so we should be easy to find.
I'll include links in the show notes and both you and your partner's LinkedIn profile. So this way,
Perfect.
take some pressure off you and get everybody engaging on LinkedIn. Chris, thanks for sharing your experiences and your expertise. I think everybody's going to get a lot out of this conversation, and hopefully we could do it again soon.
Thank you, Brian. It was a good conversation and great questions. Appreciate it.
Oh, have a great day.